famous Turkish ufologist Haktan Akdogan commented in 2015 that, quote,
UFOs have been in touch with human beings for ages. Besides the photographs and videos, there have been many UFO sightings in Turkish airspace witnessed by Turkish pilots. I can say that Turkey is one of the top 5 UFO hotspots in the world.
End quote. So the thinly sourced event from the 1930s and this metal house was not just a random sighting in Turkey's history. Instead, it's an example of the country's rich history of UFO sightings. And if potential alien visitors were picking a geography or even picking a city that represented a broad arc of human history and experience, Istanbul, Turkey's capital, would certainly be at the top of the aliens list. Istanbul is a city that bridges time, continents, religions, and empires. The city's founding came around the year 667 BC when Greek ships entered the Bosphorus Strait, a narrow waterway that was famous for crushing the hulls of vessels against rocky cliffs. A few miles past the strait, they sailed west and into a natural harbor with calm waters. They would have disembarked and hiked a hill at the tip of the peninsula. To the south, they would have looked into the Sea of Marmara, through which they'd sailed from their homeland. To the north, they would have seen rich forests and the continuation of the Bosphorus Strait leading further into the unknown. And then, looking east, they would have seen the rolling hills of an entirely different continent, Asia. And so these Greek settlers would have unpacked their ships and started their new colony in this new land. And as I write this, I'm looking out over the same peninsula, the very western tip of the European continent, and just across the water, the eastern tip of the Asian continent. The darkness must have completely shrouded that Greek settlement on their very first night in the new land. But today, in the same location, a city more than 2 millennia old unfolds before me. On the Asian side, skyscrapers sparkle in the nighttime sky, including the iconic Kamilika Tower, which was dedicated in 2021, making it the tallest building in the country. On the European peninsula, I see at least 5 mosques, each majestically lit in the night. Formerly known as both Byzantium and Constantinople, Istanbul has been a strategic and cultural center throughout its existence, witnessing the rise and fall of empires, the clash of civilizations, and the blending of diverse cultures. And in 2007, one of the citizens of Istanbul, Murat Yalcin Yalman, was working at the holiday village of Kumburgaz as a night watchman. This oceanfront town is about 30 miles west of Istanbul along the coast. He lived and worked in anonymity, and his name might have gone unnoticed in the news until something happened. Yalman's work watching over the vacation homes at night gave him a perfect view of the ocean. And from this vantage point, he started seeing odd lights in the sky over the water. And after seeing these objects on multiple evenings, he finally bought a video camera and started shooting. He took his first video in 2007 on June 20th, and the final video from that year was shot on August 31st. Now, UFOs were not an unknown phenomenon to Yalman. While fishing with his father as a child, 3 unknown objects had hovered over them. But over this 3-month period in 2007, Yalman used his Canon video camera to record a series of round and oval-shaped craft maneuvering over the ocean, always between midnight and 6 a.m. And in an interview conducted in 2009 at the oceanfront location where he took the video, Yalman noted that he saw these objects every 2 or 3 weeks and at most 2 nights in a row. He said, quote, "I think it's important to know the universe is filled with much smarter lives and not only limited to this planet. This opportunity to capture the video luckily presented itself, and so I made the decision to keep shooting." End quote. In the series of videos taken over 3 years, several types of objects were captured. All appear round or oval with a metallic structure. Akdogan, who also appears alongside Yalman in most of his public appearances, noted something extraordinary, describing that the video captures images of, quote, beings who are inside the object. In the end, this is one of the most extraordinary cases of all time, end quote. That's right, not only are the images of the UFOs extraordinary, but several show humanoid figures moving within the object. Now, if you're driving or otherwise can't look at the video, the objects have the shape that we've come to expect of a UFO. Disc-shaped with a thicker center tapering to a thinner edge. And if you're familiar with the show Battlestar Galactica, the images have the distinctly arched look of a Cylon Raider. In addition to their metallic appearance, they flew without sound and sometimes were accompanied by strange red and orange lights. Now, Akdogan goes on to describe the analysis of these figures. Quote,
"We are under the impression that the two silhouettes belong to extraterrestrials, and there is a great possibility our friends agree with us on the issue. When we compare the heights of the extraterrestrial silhouettes and the structure of their heads to the object. According to our estimation, the ship is about 10 to 12 meters wide in diameter."
Now that's a diameter of about 33 to 40 feet. Now initially, I thought that I'd cover the Kumburgaz sightings alongside several others in this episode. However, I found the video to be so compelling and the potential explanations are so intriguing that I've moved the other UFO and Close Encounter stories to another Secrets of Istanbul episode. So, before we dive into the arguments for and against these videos, I think it's worth sharing some additional background. First, the movies were captured from land looking out over the Sea of Marmara. The distance from Kumburgaz, where the videos were shot, directly south to the opposite shore of the sea, is about 46 miles. The shoreline to the southeast is similarly about 50 miles, and to the southwest, a large island called Marmara Island is a similar distance. In another interview with Akdogan and Yalman, they described the location where the video was shot.
"The residential area is right behind the Yeniket residential site and is near the beach above the sea. In other words, the horizon follows right behind and the area is clear. There is no mountain or a residential area that could be recorded. And because he was focused directly on the object, Mr. Yalman did not feel it necessary to shoot the surroundings that was behind him, because he did not want to run out of batteries either. We did check the configuration of the sky and the moon was there and the moonlight was strong at the time of the recording. And therefore, the source of the light comes from the moon, which reflected its light to the object's surface. The light for the video has a source, and that is the moon. The reflection on the object is from the light that comes from the moon."
Also of note is the presence of other witnesses. About 20 witnesses observed the disc and oval-shaped objects. Some of the witnesses lived nearby. Others were curious onlookers and fishermen. In a 2009 interview with some of these witnesses, one said, quote, "I don't agree with what the skeptics say because I know that I saw them with my own two eyes," end quote. Another witness present with Yalman said in the same interview, quote, "I saw a very intense, extremely bright light. It stayed there in the sky. By the way it moved, I think this definitely goes against the laws of gravity. And after staying there for a while, it started to grow bigger like this, and suddenly it disappeared," end quote. Now, one of the witnesses was not a local, but Dr. Roger Lair, a podiatric surgeon who became a UFOologist later in life. He recounted his experience saying, quote, "It's a close-up of a craft so close you can see the occupants. It's 100% real, and I was there as it was filmed. We were on the beach and filming out over the water. And we saw something bright that was under the moon. And if the moon were the size of a dime, this was the size of a flashlight. As the camera focused on the craft, those were the shots that became famous," end quote.
If this is the video, which is called the Kumburgaz video, which is a close-up of a craft, in fact so close that you can see the occupants, it is 100% real, and I was there as that was filmed.
Now, as you'll learn, more than the footage would become famous. Thank you for watching this episode of My Dark Path. If you'd like to support the channel more, please consider joining My Dark Path Plus on Patreon, where you'll receive exclusive episodes plus great swag like t-shirts and books, all for a small donation of $5 a month. But no matter how you choose to support the channel, know I'm grateful for your support. Until next time, good night.